Let's continue. I want to look at some of the ha'odas over here. And that is, so the main shaila the main question is the stira, the outright stira in the shit of Rabbi Yochanan. The emphasis, this is according to a Tosfos understands the Gemara, but at any rate, we'll leave that detail out. But the shit of Rabbi Yochanan, and that is, on the one hand, he said that you can bury a mess in tachrichim of kilayim because kiven shemes adam nasa chafshi min ha-mitzvahs, a person is free of mitzvahs, and he'll get up and he's wearing kilayim, so even then he is exempt because mitzvahs betelis lasid lavai. So Rabbi Yosef had said mitzvahs betelis lasid lavai, and he brought Rabbi Yochanan as a support to that you can bury someone in mitzvahs. And as Tosfos explains, the whole discussion here is when the person gets up by tchias hameisim. Conclusion, that's what lasid lavai means. Not in the spiritual plane, but it means in the future here by tchias hameisim. And Rabbi Yochanan is saying that you can bury him, or he explains the brisa to mean that you can bury him, even bury him in tachrichim, notwithstanding the fact that he gets up wearing shatnas because mitzvahs betelis lasid lavai. And yet the same Rabbi Yochanan says, where do we know tchias hameisim in the Torah? It's from the fact that the Torah says you should give Truma to Aaron. Truma was never given to Aaron HaKohen. Aaron HaKohen didn't live forever, didn't go into Eretz Yisrael, and therefore Truma was never given to him. So from here we have a raya that tchias hameisim in the Torah. So the context of that raya is not merely tchias hameisim. The context of the raya which we are extracting from this is that by tchias hameisim there's mitzvahs, because the context is it'll give truma. In other words, there are other rayas in the Torah, other allusions to tchias hameisim, like Oz Yosh Moishe, Rashi brings. That's the future tense. Then Moishe and the Yidden will sing. We don't find that they sang again, ever. So here's a raya that one day they will. That doesn't mean there's mitzvahs. But from the raya of when the satim imenu es trumas Hashem el Aaron HaKohen, Rabbi Yochanan derives that there's tchias hameisim min ha-Torah, a remez. And what's the context? The mitzvah. So on the one hand, he says you can bury a person in kilayim. On the other hand, he says, well, we're giving truma to Aaron. So the nakud of the answer that Rabbi began to explain is, or he actually answered it essentially, and he differentiated between, when talking about a mitzvah, he addressed two levels to the mitzvah. There's the actual mitzvah itself, the observance, the will of Hashem. And then there's the external level, the commandment. So the commandment dimension of the mitzvah, that's what's going to be batel. Why? No need to command. Because Eden and the Eibush will be one, and the world will be one with Hashem. And therefore the world will organically and seamlessly express the Ratzon of Hashem without the need to command it, which implies again three things. The commander, the commandment, and the one to whom the commanded. No longer, that's mitzvahs. That aspect of the mitzvahs batel. Halochos Shel Torah shainan bטלים לעולם means the actual pel mamish observance of mitzvahs, that's forever, except without the need to command. So, we also left open yesterday by Soha order, which we're going to learn now. So what's going to happen with tachrichim? So we suggested that as soon as he gets up, he will just, the person, naturally divest himself of the garment. But he says even more than that, the bederech nes, as I suggested, B'ifan Nisi, we'll see this in a moment, what's going to happen therefore is by tchias hameisim that the fibers of wool and linen will spring apart. They just will not be, it will be untenable. They will not be able to remain combined in violation of Hashem's Ratzon, because the whole world will, again, the world, not just the person. The whole Dira B'Tachtoinim, the whole Dira is the expression of our relationship with Hashem, and since we will be consciously, transparently one with Him, so will all of existence naturally. And he brought a dogma from the Medrash, a similar idea that Lasid Love, if a person would want to pluck a fig on Shabbos, the fig would cry out, it's Shabbos today. Not that he would want to, but just the theory pointing to that the world itself is expressive of its creator and the will of its creator. Now, out of 43, the Rambam at Paskin, let's look at 43. This was quoted earlier. Shema, quoting the din of Rabbi Yochanan, the Bryce actually. There's 43. You see it there. Perhaps we can suggest. This is all very nuanced. Shemasha Kotzev HaRambam. Everybody has it? Out of 43, yeah? Mutter lasis min hakalaim tachlich lemesha ein al amesim mitzvah. You can make tachlichim because there is no mitzvah for the dead. But what about tchias amesim? So, koig gam al azman shel achli atchiyah. Because it could be explained that, as some Meforshim do, the Rambam is just not talking about tchias amesim. Just not addressing it. He's only talking about the time before that, when the person is dead, and then there's l'chkul alma, there's no mitzvahs, obviously. The person is dead, the body is not alive. So some learn pshat like that, but it's not the pashtus. The pashtus is period, unequivocally, what's the word?
Qualified.
Pardon?
Qualified.
Unqualified, that one can bury with taking into account all considerations, no problem, bury him mitachrichim. But what about Chias HaMesim? So now comes our answer. We can learn pshat as follows: that he's also takakoi gamal azman shel achli atchiyah. He means to include in that din that this is no problem even after the person is revived, because what's the diuk? Ein al hamesim mitzvah shelayi oz hatzivoy de iser kiloyim. Again, what's going to go is the commandment of kiloyim. Even though certainly he will not remain pel mamish wearing kilayim, sharei halochos shel Torah, and that's quoting the Rambam. Kol gam halacha de kilayim, including kilayim, no difference. Ain't betalim lemkim b'fnim, as we learned in the body of the text.
What does that mean? That the kilayim are going to dissolve?
As I just said,
he himself won't have to do it. It'll be natural.
The fibers will separate. They'll spring apart. We'll see the next two ha'odas. Ha'odah 44. He said in the Pnim that the person will not remain wearing kiloyim. So this is al derech mashakos b'maratz chayis l'nidasham. This is similar to this Meforshim on Masechta Nida. Shegam l'shittas ha'tois v'shemitzas b'teilis la'ased lovay koi lo yalo olam shel achar ha'moves ela l'olam atchiyah. Even according to Tosfos, understands the Gemara, which we learned till now, that mitzvahs b'teilis la'ased lovay. That's how we understood it. It seems like it's referring to olam atchiyah, not just the spiritual world after death. So this Meforshim says, this is before the Rebbe. What we're saying now, he says, is similar to this Acharon. He writes, it's similar, because, quote, he says, it's only the actual moment of getting up. Even in Tosfos, there'll still be mitzvahs then. The Isser of Kiloyim. How do you explain the beer of it? The Rebbe gives the beer of it. There'll still be the Isser, but there'll be no need for the commandment. 45. So what's going to happen? He said in the brackets, in the Pnim, that he will not remain, the dead, once he gets up, will not remain wearing kiloyim, after the moment that he gets up. And 45, he mistabat leimer, shegam berega atchiyah lo yeh levush b'kiloyim. not only the next second. So this is what the pshat it seems. The next second would mean he gets up and he himself takes it off. Yeah. Now he adds in the ha'ara, not la'achrei, rega tchiyah. But mistabel loimer, because since the world organically is expressing the Ratzon Hashem, there can't even be a moment of violation of his Ratzon, which is a Ratzon Atzmi. It just is because it is. So what's going to happen? Mistabel loimer, shegam berega tchila yir lovish b'kiloim, even the moment of the tchiyas hameis, not the next moment. He won't be wearing, but derech mamela, but in a miraculous way. Mitzad Tzednish HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because of God's essential will, shebisi kiloim, that he doesn't want kiloim, kibifnim. Which means, what does it mean practically? Again, the fibers will just, these kiloim is when they're woven together. They'll separate. You won't have to take it off. That's after the tchiyah. As soon as he gets up, he's wearing tachrichim, remove them. Even the reg of the tchiyah, there won't be. Clear? So that's what's going to happen. I'm just going to say now, so it's a bit scary if we continue to learning this. So what's going to be by Tchiyas HaMeisim? It's like, the robotic. The whole world is robotic. The whole world is, just organically expressing the will of Hashem like robots. Doesn't sound very attractive. The answer is, at tzaddik now, we're going to be like the tzaddik now. Thank God. We saw, and we got video, you can see what a tzaddik behaves. And anything but robotic, fully alive and engaged and individualistic. A tzaddik gomer is living on the level of what we're talking about. It says about a b'shim b'yachoy that there was no churban for him. Why? Because a tzaddik gomer, he lives yichudi ilah. It's completely bottle. Anything but a robot. Highly expressive, individualistic, with every nuance and character. The Rebbe was not robotic. Atzmi but not robotic. There's a huge difference. So don't be afraid. Everybody's not only friends, will we retain our individuality, but the individuality there will be fully expressed with every nuance of who we are, which a lot of our potential and koichas we don't tap into because we're lazy. But we're lazy, so we don't use it. But then, any talent you have and any resource will be fully expressive. So, adarab, the individuality of each person will shine then, unprecedentedly. But at the same time, it's yichudi ilah, not bat. It's not bat. It's one truth. It's one truth. Bemis is the fusion of yichudi tata and yichudi ilah. Lahavi kedein kedein, which we learned about. What?
We are going to lose an aspect of our bechira.
Our bechira is going to be, as we said, freedom from choice, not freedom to choice. It's the emes bechira. It's the emes bechira. The true free. What's free choice? The true free choice means the true liberation of the depth of who I am. That I don't have to every second negotiate. Who am I? What do I want? The true self is in a state of utter freedom. It's the emes of freedom. So it's bechira chavshis, not freedom to choose, but transcended the whole struggle to have to choose. Freedom from choice. That's the emes of bechira. So, even though we're going to learn the oisius here sound like again, it's all just so robotic. It's the adrab of adrab. Now, Ha'ara 46. So we'd asked a question, look back at Ha'ara 35. So, in Ayin Beis, the Rebbe Rashab writes that the rotzen of mitzvahs is atzmi. Again, the essence of the mitzvah is not for an agenda, fix the world, fix yourself, fix the world. That's the external dimension. There are a couple of important of ha'ara, so we should really revisit also. Let me just look at that. Yeah, just go back to Ha'ara 32. Go back to Ha'ara 32. Because he already said there that the rotzen of the mitzvahs is not because of a matar of a tachlis. not for a purpose. Really? The whole point of the mitzvahs is to elevate us, refine us. Order 32. Famous medrash. The mitzvahs are given only to refine us. That's the point of the mitzvahs. So the answer is, that's talking about that's talking about the external level of the Eibishter's will. It's invested in chachma, in hishtalshalos, and assumes the packaging or the tzir of seichel and agenda. Now, just to elaborate, even this letzar v'sabriyas, there's many levels to that. There's the refinement at the level of sod, the refinement level of drush, the refinement at the level of remez and pshat. Let's say there's taushulus, paradis. Pshat, remez, drush, sod is lo keneged asiyah, pshat, remez keneged yitzirah, drush is oilama abriya, and sod is atzilus. So the rotzen, as the rotzen is invested in ishtalshalus, assumes the rotzen assumes bechitzonius, this tzir. The rotzen of Hashem is expressed by atzilus and of briya and yitzirah and asiyah. It's all the divine expression. That's all the tzir and the agenda, a refinement on all of these levels. But the etzim of it is Eirin Sof, Ratzon Atzmi, which is higher than agenda. And the agenda eventually will be realized. And what's left is the Ratzon Atzmi, which will then permeate all of Ishtalshalus, not fixing it, revealed in it. That did it b'tachtoinim. So the philosophical works of Torah, the Ikrim suggests that Lasid love with the binu mitzvahs. You want to look at this I've made it a good thing. Look at Order 31, the previous one. The Rebbe had negated it. Let's just make this clear. Go into the Panim, the body. I don't know what page you have, but look. He said, because mitzvahs are forever, because they're etzonish ala kadosh baruch hu. Ratzon atzmi, Order 30. Like God is, His will is. Not for a reason. It is. And he spells it out in the Panim. The will of Hashem is not for an agenda to elevate the world, etc. And then he added in brackets, then you could say that once the world, if mitzvahs would only be that's it, they're here for an agenda, to fix the world, then you could say that when the world is elevated, you need new mitzvahs. Or not at all. Now, there is such a shitta. 31. Kedasa ikrim. He says, Maha mineya. What holds back? What? There's nothing preventing. Shall yihu yizbarach meisif agerek shetig zechach mosa yizbarach. That at some point, once the agenda, stage 1 has been achieved, God will change and add other mitzvahs. Hashovi v'ha'keshi kvar efsha. We can compare this. This is similar to the idea that a recipient changes, so his nourishment changes. Food that a child needs, that's good. The equality, you got to all do it this way, changes. The hashovi v'hakeshi, that everybody does it one way, it couldn't change. Like a child, an infant needs milk. And what works, what's equal for the next, when you grow up for a bacher, alechem, bread and meat and wine. So too the divine mitzvahs would change, he says, according to the matter of the world. Then he says right away, you see the next order. But we're saying no. So what are we doing? We're saying we're rejecting the shit of the Ikrim. So he's saying that no, they're all speaking, it's emes. But he's all speaking mitzad what? The inyan of the chitzonius of the mitzvahs. That's subject to change. And be'emes it will, as we'll see. Tell me, the taka will be a change in halacha, huh?
No, it sounds, I mean, in one way you read it, it's almost like, that's what the Rabbi is saying, that there is that scenery there, right? I mean, so it almost fits with where the Rabbi is going, no? Like in one, no, I mean.
So far not. We're saying Ratzon Atzmi.
Just the fact that there's mitzvahs they apply in a certain way for a certain time.
Right.
So.
But we're saying that's only the Chitzonius. The Pnimis is forever. And yet he's saying it could change. Now we're going to validate his position now. We're going to validate that position from the perspective of what? Of the Chitzonius. Now I'm asking you, and therefore the tak is going to be a change in the performance of mitzvahs. Where, how? Lasid love halacha kebei Shammai. But no, by Tchias, well, since the Tchias Mason will get to, that's a different gather. That's where the Ratzon Atzmi is revealed.
Because he's just saying, there's going to be, he's just saying, the way we perform them now, well, it'll be different because it's a different.
But only temporarily different. And I don't want to give it away. This change is only in Moishe Mashiach, when the world is elevated, so be ready to do the mitzvahs on the level of Shammai, which is very exacting. And Shammai is Gevura, and the Sherish of Gevura is higher than Chesed. And so therefore we're going to be Makai mitzvahs on the level of Shammai. In the Hell and Vehester, we'll see the deepest Elikus, the whole beautiful beer elsewhere. So there's a change there. And then we will not do it like Hillel. But big news coming, Hillel's position is ultimately endurance and that Shammai. We'll soon see. But we don't want to unravel it all now. So, Umar Shomer Hazal, Ha'orah 32. So this which Hazal say that mitzvahs are given only to refine, that's the Chitzonius. Ha'rotzen. The way that Rotzen is invested in Chachman, as we said, Ishtalshalos. V'yesh loimer, the Rebbe suggests also reconciling, embracing these views. Shebesifrei Chkireh, in the philosophical works, as brought down in the Ikrim in the previous Ha'orah, they're all talking mavur darges harosen shnislabish b'chachma, and that's true. That's subject to change. Ubezeh gufa kama v'kama darges, like I said, in this chachma, that tzilis is chachma, the bria v'chulu. So there's change, and as I said, and the takya will be. We're going to go from doing the mitzvahs according to Hillel, in many cases, to Shammai. And that's all in accordance with the changing matzav in the world and the elevated agenda. But as we'll see in the end, the agendas have been achieved. The third epoch. But that's going to come later. The Rambam, he is Sefer Halochos. And because he's poshet the Eibishter's halacha, that's Ratzon Atzmi. And that's not Shaykh by Shinoi. But the question we have to explain is, but he's paskening in the Rambam like Hillel. So there's going to be a change, Shammai. So again, there's going to be a third epoch. We'll leave it, it'll come at the end. But we have to understand, so far we're clear. Now we're going to go back to explaining the Rebbe Rashab's word.
So I'm just saying that
Speak up.
The Ikrim is already a precedent that something could change. Because
Yeah.
he's saying it applies now because that's...
He says clearly it could change.
Yeah.
But the problem was, on the surface, we're rejecting him. No, it's a Ratzon Atzmi, it's not. Now we're saying yes. We're saying there is a darge, Chitzonius Ratzon, that's subject to change, and that's as far he speaks. We're taking it to the next level, Ratzon Atzmi, where it doesn't. And how does it reconcile practically? We'll see. But we've already expressed now, in Moishe Mashiach, Shammai, that's a change. What about Hillel being a Ratzon Atzmi? So I'm telling you now, I have to give it away now, tell you. It comes out, because that's you'd be confused. It comes out that by Tchias HaMeisim, we're going to do the mitzvahs like both simultaneously. Because we transcend the gender, be like Shammai and Hillel. It's very, I just want to tell you, I made a whole...
I always understood that the whole point with everything was Dira B'Tachtonim.
Yeah, what?
The Ratzon Elyon was the Dira B'Tachtonim. That was the Ratzon Elyon.
We're talking about that. So what
I
is...
understand it, but now
How is the Ratzon you manifest in Dira B'Tachtonim? Just telling you, we're going to the end. All the things will be clear. These sheets over here will be much clearer. So I'm just...
saying without the end of Dira B'Tachtonim, the will is what? Do a mitzvah. Like for what?
Dira B'Tachtonim means Gilui Ha'atzmus.
Right.
That's what Dibur Tachtonim means.
And I
That's
always
exactly
said
what we're saying.
That was what the Rebbe wanted.
That's what we're saying.
The mitzvahs, the way to
So
get there.
Gilui ha'atzmos, the mitzvahs are the atzmis dikarotzen. Gilui ha'atzmos is revealed through the atzmis dikarotzen of mitzvahs that a Jew does. If a Jew doesn't do it, it's meaningless.
So you can still have that even though Dibur Tachtonim was done already.
That's his whole point. And the mitzvahs will do then are not in order to make the world a dira. It is a dira. Right. It's just the expression of our relationship with God.
So you still
the mitzvahs will be the expression of our relationship with God, not in order to,
right.
Expressive of, not getting anywhere. Now, just to answer this, to explain what I'm saying now, we shouldn't be lost. So there's 3 tkufas. There's the tkufa, 3 epochs, spanning all of history. There's the tkufa of the halacha like Hillel, and we'll explain why. I'm not going to go into this now. That is making dira b'tachtonim stage 1. Basically, it means putting the basic infrastructure into place. That's the long and hardest job, digging the foundation, and it's sullied and dirtied and difficult. You go on a work site, the way it's first done, it's a messy job. Then comes the Moishe Mashiach halacha keshamai. Shammai is nuanced and detailed. That's already the decoration of the home. Ave, Yida, Mashiach has a foretaste of that, so already we're starting that. It's a bridge, but I'm not going to that right now. So halacha keshamai, the world is elevated, yishtana. We no longer have to be with shovels and with work hats. That's the Hillel Chesed, Amshachal, the Mata, Tikkun, Birur. Now comes Hillel Shammai, which is Gvura, which is the Shoresh higher than Chesed. It's the nuance, and it's B'diuk, B'tachlis Adiyuk. Hence, before Mashiach comes, Chassidus came with minhagim and diyukim, which were not relevant before, couldn't be appreciated before. We're building the house now, becoming a little nuance, inappropriate. The nuances and the decoration and the pitchivkas in Yiddish are only relevant once the building is up. That's Shammai, and the foretaste again is the Hidurim that Chassidus is Megala, especially our Rebbe. Third kufa. House is built and decorated. Now live in it, and it expresses everybody, the soulmates, Eibishter and Yidden, in the deepest, richest way. So how is it going to be then? The answer is both. How's it going to look? I don't know. Mekayim the mitzvah simultaneous is Gilui Atzmos. Like Shammai, like Hillel, we're not fixing, we're not doing. It's the Ratzon Atzmi that embraces Chesed, and which is Hillel, and Shammai. All of Ishtalshalos is suffused with and expressive of our natural relationship with the Eibishter, and therefore it's all legitimate. All the shittas and all the deis are all legitimate, and will all be experienced somehow. We'll see this Nichyev and Nire at the same time. We're clear. Let's do it. Yes, it's clear. I gave you the overview. The new ones, the Oisius, the Makaitis, God willing, we'll see inside. It's a big job that I undertook here, because is Megala this Inyan Atzmi? Hey, we're dismissing everything said till now? No, Adarab. Embracing it, put it into its context. Now, we had a question on the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe Rashab in Ayin Beis, it said in Order 35 that mitzvahs are rotzen atzmi, and it said, I mitzvahs betelis la'asid. So he says, it doesn't mean they'll be in this battle, but they'll be like lighting a candle when it's daylight. But that sounds like we're not going to be doing it. We're just not going to observe it. And yet, Pashtus of the Sugi, according to Taisva certainly, is understanding the shit of Rabbi Yochanan, that, the mitzvah, the whole discussion is about Chiyas HaMeisim. There will be mitzvahs. So we left a little bit. So now we can explain it. He says their quote, they won't disappear. They'll only be in this battle compared to the Ir Atzmi revealed then, and it sounded like then, but Bepel, they're not relevant. The Inyan remains, but not Bepel. The inyan remains, like a candle remains, but it doesn't contribute anything because the sun is shining. Now we can explain, Gamma be pashtus, we can understand this literally. What does he mean? He means again that tzivui, shat tzivui l'odam al derech isu kilayim yizbatel. What will be in this battle? We don't have to tell you to do it. That's in this battle. That has no place because hey, I'm organically expressing the will of God. You don't have to tell me. Because of the Ratzon Atzmi, what's bottle, what's insignificant, the need to have to say. So again, one Nakud is answering all of these previous quotations. But will a mitzvah be observed? Absolutely. What will not be? The need to have to tell you, because you're separate from me, and you could not, and I'm commanding you, you should. That's over. What do you mean I could not? I can't do anything other than who I am and who we are, which is that whole debate and discussion is over. Again, not freedom to choose, free from having to choose. Okay, we'll stop here, continue Be'ez Hashem tomorrow, and we'll begin today's story.